Final quarter-final in the URC, folks, and it's Munster away from home, 14 points to 5 winners, setting up a pretty tasty clash with Irish rivals Leinster. We're going to go through some key events and stats of this one, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. Much belated. I did get up in time to watch this game, but I figured the commentary teams would be doing spoilers, so I kind of watched them in the natural order, quarter-final 2, 3, and then now 4, which is sadly for me, much after the fact. But anyway, Munster and the URC, man. Like, the URC is apparently the competition where away teams are able to win knockout games, because they haven't been that apparent in Super Rugby in recent times, and certainly the Champions Cup, they were all pretty predictable, but not the URC. 14-5. Will Munster have any players left for next week? I'm not sure, because Peter Romano went off early. Achia Snyman went off with an HIA not long later. Conor Murray got a shot to the head and he went off. I think Barron went off. Oh, goodness me. Are you guys going to have any players left? I don't know. But at least you're still alive in the competition, which sadly for Glasgow, we cannot say about them, despite the fact that they started pretty bloody well. It was all Glasgow early. I mean, goodness me, the first 10 minutes, they were pretty much just camped in the Munster half, to the point where Munster got a yellow card warning because they were just defensively holding but occasionally infringing. So yellow card warning for Munster, lose a couple of players. Dempsey on 19 minutes gets held up. Crazy close, but not close enough. And then, sadly for Glasgow, but geez, what a turnaround for Munster. Pretty much first time down the other end, Fekitoa is able to go over for them after he's made a pretty good defensive hit on defence. Some quick ball. Fekitoa with the agility and the power to get over the line. So 7-0, kind of against the run of play, but also a good reward for the Munster defence holding out as long as they did. And it gets worse for Glasgow because Tom Jordan gets a red card for a high shot on a free-running Conor Murray. Murray does go off, like I mentioned. He was just scrambling across field to try and get him. Ends up just kind of clocking him shoulder to head, and it was going to be red. The refs, because I mentioned, have been looking for mitigation wherever they can find it. But for this one, they couldn't find any. And Munster punished pretty much immediately. The red card's on 25. The fresh try is on 27. Great change of direction from the Munster attackers to put the Glasgow guys just slightly off guard, and then Frisch goes over. So it's 14 points to 0. Now that's the final scoring for Munster. 14 points is enough. They didn't have a heck of a lot of ball from here on out, to be honest. I mean, they did almost get more on 35, but especially in the second half, they are starved of possession. But I feel like if Munster had scored at the end of that first half period, maybe you could have called it, but it was still kind of game on with Glasgow's defence holding at halftime. So halftime it's 14-0. Glasgow need to score twice just to get it back to a draw, and they're going to have to do it with a man down. Can they do it? Well, they gave it a good crack. They did give it a good go. On 54 minutes, they had a bunch of phases. But once again, the Munster defence was exceptionally stingy. They did, though, similar to the first half, get warned for infringing. So it's another yellow card warning. I guess the gap between those two warnings is long enough, because we're talking like a 40-minute gap, that there's no kind of automatic yellow based on that one. Some refs rule it differently, but yeah, Munster's defence holds up a Glasgow attack. They win a turnover. It's just exceptional defending. Like, if you like defending, which I can certainly appreciate, this is a game. Like, it's low scoring. There's some big old tackles. There's some big turnovers. There's one where Horn gets kind of held up at the side of the scrum and they make it a maul, so Munster gets a turnover. It's pretty good defence. What can I say? It's not a sexy try, but it's equally as impressive. 67 minutes, though. They did finally get over the line, the Glasgow boys. Stain. Finally, man, the hands stuck for Glasgow. They managed to finally get around the corner, and Hugh Jones with the final pass to Kyle Stain finds himself in some space. They did get that one to make it 14-5. Unfortunately, missed conversion means it's still a two-score game. But, I mean, that is the final scoring, as I mentioned. I mean, it's not long later that they've got that Horn turnover. So, yeah, Glasgow, when they had to run everything on 75 minutes, they're on their own 22. they're just having to chase the game. They're chucking it around, and they end up surrendering position. It's a 5-metre scrum to Munster, attacking the Glasgow line. Tuipulotu gets yellow carded for a shot on Fekitoa, so it goes 15v13. Lockman gets held up before full time, so Munster were knocking on the door. Glasgow turned to do a bit of kind of manful defending. They managed to do that, but essentially the game was already gone by that point, so they were just trying to keep the scoreline as close as it could. They did manage to do that, but not a lot more. So yeah, man, low scoring game like I mentioned, but some pretty crazy defence at times. Possession finishes 58-42 to Glasgow, but the territory is 53-47 to Munster. So Glasgow had a decent amount of ball. They had more run meters, 421 to 372. More defenders beaten, 42 to 16. More clean breaks, 4-1. But yeah, ultimately, Munster's defence at the key times was able to hold. Like they may have surrendered kind of midfield position, but on their own goal line, they were giving up virtually nothing. They conceded 13 penalties to 8, which is a little bit of a stretched count, but obviously cards-wise, it's Glasgow who cop a yellow and a red. So, yeah, Stain, 92 metres, 3 clean breaks, still looks sharp. Dempsey, 7 defenders beaten. On another day, he probably bags himself a try or two, but not against that Munster defence. For Munster, I mean, Mike Haley, 74 metres and 4 defenders beaten, but it's the tackle counts, man. Hodden at 20 tackles, Byrne 19, Lockman 19, I think Klein had, was it 18 or 19? Like the key men stood up, albeit against a 14-man side for much of the game. But yeah, they set themselves up a pretty interesting game with Leinster. And for Glasgow, sadly, man, that run has come to an abrupt end. So they'll be feeling very disappointed, much like the Ulster guys. Like you had a game at home. It's one that you maybe should be looking to perform a bit better. Obviously, a red card changes things, but still, even before the red card, Glasgow were having real trouble cracking that Munster goal line. So, yeah, we'll be interested to see how things go next week. I'm not sure, like, is Connacht the team that played the best of all the quarterfinal sides? Even they didn't play that well. They played well on defence, blew some chances. The Stormers played pretty well. I wouldn't say Leinster played exceptionally well, but they did enough. And Munster, yeah, defensively, very, very strong. So we're still waiting for one of the sides to really put in a massive shift. I guess it's the Stormers that's the closest one. But anyway, we'll see how things go for the quarters, not the quarters, the semis. You guys take care, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.